Before we get started, we have to officially kick off, and we have a wonderful friend with us. Today, to begin and to welcome us, I would like to introduce Rick May. Let me tell you a little bit about this very wonderful person. He is a retired and decorated U.S. Navy SEAL captain. Adventures around the world, passion beyond belief. He serves as the U.S. Department of the Interior's National Senior Advisor for Recreation, has a wonderful role of both tearing down barriers to recreation, opening new opportunities, and to working with the Secretary on all kinds of activities. And his work is helped by his personal passion for the outdoors. He does it all. He surfs, he bicycles, he motorcycles. You list recreation activities, Rick May does them all, which is why it's perfect to have somebody with that kind of perspective in the position of accelerating our progress to inviting all Americans to enjoy their great outdoors. So if you would please join me in welcoming to the podium here, Rick May. Thank you.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Department of the Interior. And Derek, thank you for that kind introduction, and the Secretary sends his regards. I'm glad to be kicking off Partners Outdoors 2018. You all understand the power of the great outdoors in our lives and secondarily to the economy. Original thinking and not old and worn out ideas are required to solve the issues that we are facing as we get more people outdoors to enjoy our public lands and our waterways. I look in part to you to help us with these solutions. Just this past week, a giant step has been taken here at DOI. Put into place were multiple secretarial orders that serve to mobilize DOI to fulfill one of the Secretary's goals of making recreation a priority. And this includes all forms of outdoor recreation, everything from archery to zip lining and everything in between. The ties to both health and well-being are undeniable. So we need to get outside, enjoy, and get moving. And I have a story to tell here. I got lots of stories. I have ridden the Great Divide 5 times in the last 7 years. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the ride, the race is a single stage. It goes from Banff in Alberta all the way to the port of entry into Mexico, Antelope Wells. There's 210,000 vertical feet of climbing. There are 32 crossings of the Continental Divide, and 90% of it is off-road. So I was in Colorado and I was going over Lynx Pass. I'd been working very hard, climbing fast on the bike, and I bonked extremely hard. For those of you who know, when you bonk, you completely run out of energy. And you couldn't turn the pedals again if somebody forced you to, and I couldn't turn the pedals if I had to. So I stopped the bike along the road there. I got off, reached for an energy bar in my handlebar bag, and I was having great difficulty opening the package. That's how bad it was. And a truck came by and stopped. Well, an elderly man and a woman got out of the truck, came over and asked if I was okay. I could barely speak. His wife saw my difficulty, took the energy bar from my hand and unwrapped it for me. She handed it back to me and I tried to say thank you. She saw my struggle and she said, "You eat," she said, "and then we'll talk." I said, "Okay, great." So I did eat, the lights came back on, and I regained consciousness here. And she looked at me and she says, "My husband has a question for you." And I turned to the man who was in his late 70s, and he said, "Are you one of those Tour Divide riders?" And I said, "Yes, I was." And he says, he says, "I have a heart problem, but I'd like to ride the Divide. Do you think I could do it on an e-bike?" Well, what's an e-bike? An electric bicycle. So Electric bikes are the complete antithesis to what the Divide stands for. The philosophy of the Divide goes something like, you, the bike, and no outside assistance for that single stage race. Help of any kind, unless that help is available to all riders, is prohibited, and you will be disqualified if they find out you accepted anything from anyone. So e-bikes are definitely not allowed. But I thought about this question before I answered. I think it was the Dalai Lama who said, "Be kind whenever possible, because it is always possible." So this gentleman was looking to fulfill a dream. It was a great act of defiance in the face of age and malady. So I looked at him and I said, "Sure, but you'd have to know where on the route you could recharge the batteries." But yeah, I think you could. My personal philosophy is to never take hope from anyone. I gave him confirmation and confidence that he could do the ride. His wife joined joyfully and enthusiastically into the conversation and followed up with, I could follow him in the truck, so if he gets tired, I could always pick him up. And so you know where the rest of this conversation went. And it ended on a very happy note. So I tell you this story because no one, and I mean no one, should be kept from the enjoyment of the outdoors. Regardless of whether you're disabled, elderly, ill, or what have you, all should be able to enjoy the outdoors. The outdoors can change us, it can heal us, if we just let it. And sometimes we have to be a bit more progressive in how we think. Break the old ways of doing things and embrace the new. And to that end, following my own advice, I broke the paradigm just last night and placed an order for a brand new e-bike to use as a commuter to come to DOI. My thanks to this elderly couple for giving me a new way to think about cycling and for the new experiences that will surely come as I head down the trail. The other point I want to make is that change is the only thing that is sure in our lives. Embrace it, go with it, and get on with it. Looking at it another way, it must have been difficult to go from the Conestoga wagon to the station wagon. While some might argue that's not much of an improvement, it was probably not so drafty and probably at least a little faster. That was a joke, folks. Come on, give it here. Come on. So I'll be starting something new here at DOI on the 12th of June that I'm calling the Fireside Chats. It's not an original name, but it does aptly describe what it is I'm trying to do. It's going to be a low-key gathering, a discussion, if you will, of a chosen topic. And once a month, I'm inviting groups, members of groups, to DOI so that I can lay out our way ahead for a particular genre of activity, and I can hear what you would like to do, your thoughts, your concerns. For example, this month we'll be discussing bicycling, bicycle paths, and trails. The chats are designed to be two-way conversations, and I have said many times the government is here to serve, not the other way around. So likewise, when you leave this conference, I want you to feel that you have been heard. Your thoughts, your ideas matter, and I look forward to speaking with anyone who's willing to sit with me and share their ideas. Lastly, and commensurate with the increase in my official duties by the secretarial orders, I have been given a new office, large enough to hold most of the Washington Capitals fans, as Ovi and the boys go after the Stanley Cup. I will occupy my new office by the end of the week. My door is open, the conference table large, and I would welcome you anytime you'd like to show up. Thanks for attending, and go Caps.